Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Next Generation Sports Talk. I'm your host, Roman Bostic, and today we're here with the one, the only Mr. Tongo. Mr. Tongo, how are you doing today?
Good, good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So, if you guys don't know, Mr. Tongo is someone who works with NFL Films. He's made a few great productions, not just a few, I should say a lot. And he has also got to work with some great athletes to produce some of the best films I've ever seen. So, I'm just going to jump right in with the questions. Starting off, you made Birth of Cool with a major company, BET. What did it teach you about the filmmaking industry?
Man, so I that's still in production, right? So I think the biggest thing is that it takes a long time. It was amazing, that experience is great because I got to write on a TV show for my first time. So it was a great experience being in the writer's room. Started during the pandemic and just got to write these really creative ideas that were basically meditations on different existential plots and things about living life in high school. So I think it's going to be a great show, when it comes out. But, you know, this whole process, the film industry, it takes a lot. There's a lot of process, a lot of people involved, and, it's a great learning experience.
Yeah, I really can't wait to watch that one. On the same topic as filmmaking, whenever you're watching a game, what are the factors that say, oh yeah, that's a highlight? What plays make you think that's what I need to make a highlight?
Oh man, so that's it's interesting because like football. So I've been learning the language of football films at this new role at NFL Films. So I went from LA and Hollywood to coming here to New Jersey and working in NFL Films. And sometimes it's the physical feat that's being had, it being done on the play, or it's what it means for the game and all. But ultimately it comes down to, was the shot nice? And when I got to go sideline and work with the cinematographers on the sideline and at the Jets game up at the MetLife Stadium, and it was amazing because you get to see, like, okay, all those guys you see on the sideline that get ran over when people run out of bounds and stuff like that, like they're following the ball through the air, zooming in, pulling focus, and doing all that stuff, and they become masters of their craft. So when I look at like the footage, I'm seeing like, what is the frame? How can I tell this story? How can I use these pieces to speak a language, to make poetry out of football?
Wow, that was a good answer. Great answer. Keeping on the theme of highlights, when you watch NFL highlights, is there like a position you specifically look out for? Now, obviously, you might not be looking towards the offensive line, but are you looking more at the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, the running backs, or somewhere on the defensive side of the ball?
So most of the time we're looking for play. We're looking for the big plays. When we wire guys, sometimes they do wire offensive linemen. Sometimes they wire, like I cut a Mike Vrabel wire, I cut a Dak Prescott wire, and I've cut a Tunyon wire. So National Tight Ends Day, I cut a, so we'll wire or mic up different players, but then overall, I'm looking at all the whole team to see who makes plays. Of course, we highlight the stars, right? The stars are usually the quarterbacks and the people who are scoring touchdowns. But I personally like doing defensive montages. The last 2 weeks I got to work on some pretty cool games. The New England versus the Falcons game, and the New England, Van Noy had like what, two and a half sacks and took a pick back to the house. So I love shoot because I played defensive end and linebacker in high school and college. So I love being able to highlight the defensive players that don't get as much shine as the offensive players that score every week.
Great answer. I honestly like watching the defensive side of the ball too. You see all the time wide receivers go out for a pass or quarterbacks make a great one, but I think defense is pretty underrated when it comes to highlights. And on the topic, I know you talked about yourself being a D lineman. This is actually a personal question for me. I see the hoodie you're wearing. I personally want to go to USC. What's your favorite memory there?
So I went to film school at USC. I played football at Georgia Tech. So I did undergrad at Georgia Tech, and my favorite memory at Georgia Tech was actually um, the ACC championship in 2009. We beat Clemson, and that was probably like the last year before Clemson became a powerhouse. because it was like like we won the ACC, then it was Florida State for a couple of years, and then Clemson just took over the conference. But just being on that ride with that team, dealing with like overcoming injuries and obstacles and all the things that came in the path, and building with a team that came together and were kind of underdogs running a triple option to take the ACC by storm. And I had a sack forced fumble against Christian Ponder in the Florida State game that helped turn the game around, and we ended up winning by about 3 points that game. So that, and then beating Georgia. So
Razor close, 2 great games. I'm sure you did great in all of them. We're going to transition real quick back to the NFL. So say personally, there's a kid, maybe me, maybe, maybe my best friend, maybe my best friend's sister, whatever. Say I want to get the job that you currently hold, working, making those montages that you were talking about. What advice would you give me to reach that point?
I think for me, I'm self-taught in a lot of ways. Like I went to film school after I started editing my own stuff. Like, don't let anything get in your way. I think when I was getting recruited, I wasn't getting recruited. My sophomore, junior year, I got moved up to varsity, and I was in high school, and I did graphic art class, and I didn't have any film classes, but I took the mini DV tape and put it in this is old school. So the mini DV tapes, they used to be like this small, and you put it in a bigger tape. You put in the VCR, and then I had another VCR, and I was pressing play and record on different things. And I made my highlight tape from different games like that. And I sent it out myself to rivals, to Texas, to Miami, to Michigan, to Notre Dame. And that's how I started getting recruited, because my coach said, oh, I don't have time to work on your highlight tape. I got to get the seniors out. So I did that my junior year, and everything changed for me. And even when I was in film school, or when I was in college, I wasn't taking film classes. I just took out, a camera and started filming my teammates, and did a documentary and learned how to edit myself. So I feel like as long as you have the goal, and you know what you want to do, and you know what you want to make, take that youthful enthusiasm and don't take no for an answer. Just keep going for it and tell the stories that are passionate to you.
Wonderful advice. I will make sure to keep that noted. Speaking of the NFL, I know you've worked with some major companies. You've worked with Netflix before, and you've worked with the NFL. What do you think are some similarities and differences between the two juggernauts?
Oh man, I think the similarities is film. Film is film. It's like there's an amazing workflow, right? And I think the similarity or the difference might be because Netflix, you're doing this big production, right? $50 million. You got Jamie Foxx or whoever is coming in acting, and you have these trailers and all that stuff. Well, inherently, NFL Films is a documentary film company. So you have a smaller crew, you have a tighter budget, but you're shooting with mega stars, in a different light, right? So you're working in that capacity. And then also the post-production is all in-house. So in NFL, you're going to hire, or in Netflix, you're going to hire different editors and cinematographers and all that. But at NFL Films, we're turning it around. We have the colorists, we have everybody in-house, and they're used to doing it, and they do things a certain way. So I think that's one of the main differences. The similarity, I mean, there's always going to be bureaucracy. There's always going to be things that you have to navigate in any company, and it takes time to learn and win favor and do all those things. And that's also a similarity too.
Wow. Great answer there. Thank you. I'm going to hit you with one more question. 2 more questions, actually, and then we have a quick lightning round. So be on your toes.
Well, I got a question for you, man. Why you want to go to USC?
Oh, personally, I have always wanted to go to USC. Different reasons before. At first, I wanted to go there to play football, D1 ball at USC. I was looking at it, and we did some research for a 3rd grade project, and It said USC pumps out the most college football athletes in the past decade. And I was like, cool. And other options were like Notre Dame, Alabama, Clemson. And I was like, all those places are either cold or don't have the education I want. So I wrote like a whole 3-4 paragraph essay about why I wanted to go to USC. Had my mindset on USC for the entire time. Fast forward a few years, I get into broadcasting. I still want to go to USC, but now I'm starting to realize USC's got a great broadcasting, a great film program with the Annenberg tool. And I'm starting to think this could also still be a legitimate option. So my schools changed from being, schools where I want to play football to schools where I want to go to learn to be a better broadcaster. And that's why I still want to go to USC, because they have one of the best film programs in the country.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, in the cinematic art school is the George Lucas and Steven Spielberg buildings. Those are the ones that I went to every day. And then the Annenberg School is amazing. J.A. Adonde is one of the teachers there. It's a really cool school. I actually got the Annenberg Fellowship when I was at USC. So, but the Annenberg Fellowship is like this overarching for all the graduate programs, and it's just a scholarship for all these different things. But yeah, I highly encourage you to pursue that. I mean, it seems like you're headed in the right direction, and this might help.
Thank you. And speaking of which, when you came out of college, was there someone who seemed to be sort of your mentor, someone who guided you along the path?
I wouldn't say there's one person. I feel like the world is a mentor, right? There's multiple people that I've reached out to on my journey, and I've been like, hey, I have this question. I mean, your mom is one of the people that like really taught me a lot when I was at Emory. She just taught me, because we got a similar personality as far as being a little aggressive and like super competitive and go-getters and really nice to people. Why your eyes squinted? But yeah, no, I mean, she taught me kind of how to move through this world, and then also just different people. As I was like navigating the workforce and trying to reach out to people, like I didn't know what was taboo or what was not. I just hopped into DMs on LinkedIn and just started hitting people up and saying, hey, I want to go to coffee with you, and I'm interested in this. And when you're younger and you're enthusiastic and you have a fresh take, a lot of people are interested in talking to you and seeing, as long as you come with respect and do that, like most of the time people have a little bit of time.
Yeah, in all serious, she's a pretty good role model if you're going to choose one.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit you with one more question before we hit our lightning round. I know you're very good friends with the man, the myth, the legend. His name is Megatron. Getting to work with him to create his football life story, how did you feel?
Oh man, it was cool. It was like a full circle moment for me, just because we've hung out a couple times, but I didn't go to Detroit to watch him play, right? Like I didn't get to see him in action, and then going there on the field with him with the camera, and then him wearing his gold jacket and everyone screaming his name. It was just I was just proud of him. I was proud of him, and I was also proud of myself for being able to work my way into a position where I wasn't just there as a supportive friend. I was there as a supportive friend and someone who was working in the NFL as well. So it meant a lot for me. It was somewhat emotional to just, it was just good. It was a wholesome moment,
Yeah, you have gone so far in your career. You've done such a great job. And I really just want to thank you for putting out the kind of work that you've done. Those films on NFL Films, working with people to make those football lives with people like Megatron. Those are the things that can mold people, that can inspire people. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh man, thank you. That means a lot, especially from you, man. It's like you're a student of the game. You're a student of everything. I need to tell Greg Cosell about you because you remind me of him. But yeah, it means a lot, especially because like when we just have our head down and we're grinding and editing these things every week, we don't know who's watching it, if anyone's inspired, or if we're just making another football highlight. Like, sometimes you minimize it because you're in it, but it feels good to hear that from you.
Yeah, your work is some of the work that I've actually looked at. I really love that Megatron football life. That was one of my favorites to watch.
Nice. I mean, I did a small part on that. Terrell Riley, I'll pass it on to him. But yeah.
All right, let's hit the lightning round. All right, I've got 3 questions here. We're gonna rattle them off as fast as possible, and you've got to answer them. First thing that comes in your head, fire them off. 3 questions. Let's see what you got. Favorite NFL player?
Ray Lewis.
Ooh. Favorite movie?
Any Given Sunday.
Ooh. And Georgia Tech or USC?
USC. Sorry.
Should have expected that. You had the jacket on.
Yeah. I mean, I got here. Hold on. I got my Georgia Tech gear.
You got them both?
I got my Georgia Tech, I wore this yesterday, so no, don't get it twisted. I mean, I'm fought and bled, but this season, man, it's tough. I don't know if we'll ever get back on the right track, man. It's tough. 100 points scored on us in 2 weeks, man. To 0.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
You'll get back.
Yeah, no, it's cool. We'll get it.
All right. As per tradition, I put on the hat. And
Nice.
I thank you for coming on to the show. Thank you really so much for coming here and spending the time to be able to do this interview. My name has been Roman Bostic. It has been me with Next Generation Sports Talk and Mr. Tongo, and we will see you guys next time. Until then, peace out.